What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to JJ Phantom for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. Much respect to you for showing love to the channel. And he had a question, and his question was, um, do I consider Tyrese Haliburton a true point guard? And he brought up the opinion that he doesn't consider Shea a true point guard. And then he also asked me, who do I think are the true point guards in today's game, right? I do consider Tyrese Haliburton primarily a point guard. To me, a point guard can affect the game in many, many ways positively for his team, even when he's not scoring. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I understand that in today's game, point guards are now expected to be able to shoot, especially from outside. They're expected to be able to be more multifaceted than they were in the past, when their primary role was to be a floor general. Controlling the floor of the game, running the offense, being an extension of the coach out there on the team, facilitating, passing, etc., right? Now you did have your exceptions. You had Oscar Robertson, a guy who is considered a point guard, but could score like any combo or shooting guard, like any other at that time on the elite level in a prodigious manner. Pete Maravich is considered a shooting guard per se, but he had point guard passing ability. Tyrese Haliburton, of course, can score, but he's not a guy that's going out there consciously trying to shoot the ball 20, 25 times a night. He is capable of, I think, if he sets his mind to it, to averaging 25 points a night. But he's looking at what each situation brings itself. There are going to be some nights when Tyrese Haliburton is in more of a scoring mode, and he's going to drop 35 points. He's going to drop 31 points. And he may only have 5 or 6 assists that night. But then there are other nights when Tyrese may only have 9 points. But the way the game is flowing, it doesn't really require him to shoot the ball much. And he might wind up with 19 assists that night. And it's a successful night. I think the key is just whatever the game needs at that point in time. That's what a true point guard, I think that's how they approach the game. Now, to me, I think usually a typical Tyrese Haliburton game, or a good game, is when he goes out there and maybe drops 16, 17 points and goes out and have 8, 9 assists. Now, over the last couple of years, Tyrese Haliburton has really exploded his game to being one of the great point guards in the game. Last year, 2023-24 season, he led the NBA in assists and total assists and assists per game. This past year, or this season, since it's still going, he's third in the league in assists per game, behind Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks and Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Of course, Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double. Now, Nikola Jokic, of course, is an example of how the game has changed. To have a center, have the offense run through them, that's almost never happened in the history of the NBA. I mean, the only guy that comes to mind is, right now is Wilt Chamberlain, I guess to a lesser extent, Bill Walton. Doesn't really happen much. I do agree that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, is not a true point guard. I get that he plays that position. I know a lot of guys who are the big scorers in today's game, which is much more perimeter orientated. A lot of these guys are point guards per se, but I don't really consider them true points. I don't even consider Steph Curry a true point guard. I mean, when people call him the second greatest point guard, or whatever, I just go with it sometimes. Or one of the top 3 point guards, I go with it. But when I see Steph, I think of combo guard, or I think of a shooting guard who's just happened to play in the point guard position. I don't really see a true point, you know? And if you're going to ask me who are the true point guards in today's game, that's a really, really short list, man. To be honest with you, I just see 2. I just see really 2 guys who I consider, maybe because I'm old school, but I just see 2 guys who I consider point guards, and one of them is Tyrese Haliburton, and the other one is a guy who's not going to be in the league much longer, and that's Chris Paul. Those are the only guys I really consider point guards. Now, Trae Young, I think, is possibly more effective if he actually just played like an actual point guard and took far less shots. I think if he transitioned into being more of an 18 and 13 guy, he'd be far more dangerous than when he's a guy that's averaging 27 and 9. I really think that if he just played the point guard, but just because his passing eye, I think, now he does turn the ball over a lot, but his passing ability is very underrated in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much how I see that, man. Like I said, to me, the true point guards in the game have declined. Remember, when we were growing up in the 90s and 80s, we had guys that could score, but they could also pass and facilitate at an elite level. John Stockton and Magic Johnson, of course, were the standards. But, you had other guys below the radar. You had Andre Miller. You know what I'm saying? You had, he wasn't below the radar as his stars shown, but, Gary Payton. Then, of course, we had Jason Kidd. I consider those true point guards. Tim Hardaway was a guy that could score, but he could facilitate. You know what I'm saying? And then the funny thing about it is, to show you how much the game has changed, Stephon Marbury got criticized. Remember, he used to get criticized for being too much of a scorer at the point guard position. Do you think that would be anything one of these guys get criticized for today? No. Shea just had a 35-point game with no assists, right? No assists. I remember a game when Stephon Marbury had 27 points with 2 assists, and he was getting absolutely raked by the media for that. Well, how can you be a point guard and only have 2 assists? How can this guy be a point guard? He's shooting the ball this much. That's how much the game has changed. But anyway, that's just my take on that. Tell me what you guys think.